Good morning, everyone. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming and listening to my short presentation on sustainable organics. I had a little bit of a light bulb moment or a changing set of ideas whilst taking off on my Nuffield travel, and changed my topic from wanting to find the silver bullet to organics to more wanting to find a more sustainable path for organics. Organics wasn't being done at 100%, I thought, in Australia, and that's kind of what sent me off on my travel. A lot of gratitude out to my investors, which were HIA, Horticulture Innovation Australia, and in partnership with AusVeg, and obviously in conjunction with Nuffield Australia. I take my hat off to my investors. They've given me a lot of support and traction along my road, and I couldn't have done it without them. Just a little bit of a background on me. I still look after our little marketing company, Wattle Organic Farms. We supply fresh certified organic produce to Coles, Woolies. We do a bit of trade in the wholesale market, and also developing out a big export marketing side of our business, where we're direct shipping stock over into Hong Kong, Netherlands, and hopefully Canada soon. This year was the start of a new enterprise for Anace and I, where we've got an agricultural services based business. In our area, we've got Vic Super, starting to spend a lot of money in developing the area up and enabling greater and better use of utilities and resources, as in the way of electricity, water, and obviously the local town's roads and infrastructure. And in conjunction with this organisation, we've put in a 50 hectare, 42,000 tree orchard of a new plum called the Queen Garnet plum. So this has been quite a whirlwind event this winter, taking a field of, I dare say, good cow feed. You could refer to it as. It was a field about a foot high with grass. And we've had to turn it into an orchard in all of about a month. So it's been quite a big event. If at some stages my eyes were closed at this chair over here, it wasn't because I was disinterested. I just still catching up on a bit of sleep. And also look and assist with vegetable production at the family farm. And this is just a picture of one of my new toys since going in agriculture by myself. This is the first time I've ever had a GPS ag, so I'm quite proud of it. Here's a couple of pictures of where I went throughout the world. My personal study took me mainly to the east and west coast of America, as well as Netherlands, Hong Kong, and a little bit in France. On the left-hand side there is a picture of two different types of soil. The bottom sample is a conventionally produced almond orchard on one side of the farm track. On the right-hand side is a certified organic stone fruit orchard. I know which type of soil I'd rather in those two scenarios. The one that's going to be able to hold more nutrition, moisture, and, hold together as a piece of dirt. And then on the right-hand side, we have a picture from Cornell University. This trial was going through looking at all different aspects of understory mulches and soil prep before planting. So they would go all the way from putting big 100 by 100 sheets of plastic out on the ground to try and pre-warm, kill all the emerging weed seeds, and use that as an establishing base, or use different mulches. And as you can see here, there was an oat understory mulch that obviously had drained the nitrogen out of the soil, obviously taking nutrition away from the poor old cabbage plant. We were leaving it pretty starved and obviously pretty average looking. The issues, why I felt it was important to go and travel on behalf of the Australian organic industry. Inconsistency and low volume of supply was a big thing driving customer satisfaction here in Australia. Customers were dissatisfied with the supply and obviously never being able to find what they really wanted or being able to find what they wanted at a consistent price. One week we might have broccoli on the shelf at $5, so the stay-at-home dad or the housewife will go put the broccoli on the shopping list for the next week and roll into the store and it's $13 a kilo now. So it's not a very budgeted or budgetable item for the pantry, so you kind of lose interest in it and you just go the conventional alternative. Knowledge, I didn't feel we had a great repertoire of knowledge here in Australia in the organic industry. No doubt there is very smart cookies out there doing a very good job, but overall the knowledge that's out there in amongst industry was very well held up in, say, private agronomy services or in private businesses. It wasn't portrayed out to the rest of industry very well. And collaboration, well, I didn't know of any. I had a lot to do with the Australian Certified Organic, Organic Federation of Australia, as well as other industry kind of groups, and as soon as you went and talked about or wanted to talk about what are you doing, how are you doing it well, and what do you reckon we can improve on, you could hear more crickets in the room than anything else. So that's something we needed to build up on. What I learnt, or what I thought would improve our situation here in Australia the best. Industry collaboration, number one. We needed to build up on what we didn't even have. So we needed to actually build a slab of cement to build this house up onto. Organic no-till. I'll go into that a little bit deeper because it's a little bit frightening at the moment. Cover crops. Cover crops are something that I think the organic industry really needs to take under their wing and utilise their full potential, because they've got a lot of hidden gems in amongst them, if you could say, where you can utilise them to perform actual mechanical processes you may have to do in the future. Compost syncing, syncing the inputs within your compost operation so that you can speed up the process or make a higher grade of compost than what you could make before, and the infield weeding to get the best out of your crop. Industry collaboration. This is 3 examples of that. Left-hand side is Rodale Institute, middle picture is Hudson Valley Farm Hub, and the right-hand side we have Lakeview Organic Grain. If I pick out 2 of these, the Hudson Valley Farm Hub it was somewhat learning about this organisation from one of their weed expos. It was very interesting. It was a organic property producing cereals and including legumes and corn and stuff like that. And it was purchased as a going concern by the Rockefeller family out of New York. Now, they bought it because they wanted a piece of the pie in the organic industry. They wanted to see how it was working because they felt that's where the best food security was going to be, in organic food. But they realised there's more to the organic agricultural landscape than just being a part of the industry. They kind of had to drive the industry. So they've turned this into a training farm or a research institute. So farmers can come to the Hudson Valley Farm Hub and bring their problems or even assist in the solution to some problems that have been raised and help and give information to the industry so the industry can grow and prosper. So the Hudson Valley Farm Hub will fund the solutions to farmers' problems and get them into a situation where they are not a problem and the industry can move forward and move on to another issue that may have. On the right hand side here with Keith from Lakeview Organic Grain. This business 10 years ago, it was a mill maybe producing 10 tonne of milled grain per year. with only the supply from Keith himself and maybe one other neighbour if they needed a bit of top up in supply. Now, after collaboration and working together, instead of Keith's meetings of him and the neighbour, they have a meeting with 250 other suppliers that they've brought on board in one of Cornell University's largest lecture rooms. So this is where they come and discuss rotations of how they're going to do their cropping, how they're going to be able to move forward and who grows what next season, and how they feel they're best placed to grow what needs to be grown next year so they can uphold the values of Lakeview organic grain and have consistent supply for the next season. Organic no-till. It's not just a 44-gallon drum on the front of a tractor with a few spikes out the front. It is, they say, even a painted piece of machinery. I dare say I could knock it and say we could all knock it up in the workshop, I reckon. This is a roller crimper. What the organic industry are trying to move to is to a system where they can alleviate some of the cultivation passes we have to do. So this roller crimper moves through the field in front of the planting drill, rolling over and crimping the crop, so that it then should kill the crop, leaving a thatch of the previous crop to then go through and drill into that crop, your commercial crop or your new season crop, and have it grow and germinate up through the thatch of the old cover crop, and give it a break for 2 to 3 months while it's able to germinate and establish itself, and then it should be able to be in a position to outcompete the other weeds. Obviously there's a lot of trial and error in this, and it really relies on some either good rainfall or consistent rainfall areas, or the use of, say, centre pivots. I haven't seen it used so much in flood irrigation, but I'll hopefully over the next couple of years I'll at least be able to trial it and get back to you all on it. The drill face itself is a little bit different to what I saw in my travels, where these two rubber rollers on the outside create like an anvil effect, and the seeding disc follows behind, cutting through the thatch of cover crop, then producing an area to put your seed down, I guess. Cover crops come in all different shapes and sizes. It doesn't mean that you've got to go out and sow your cover crop every time you want to establish one. Here in the middle is a block of wheat, maybe, that was being sown at Lakeview Organic Grain. In the understory was clover, already established, already ready to go, and could have provided some stable end source to finish off this wheat crop. But it's already there, they don't have to go through and sow another crop. This field will have a living, breathing substance there to assist the soil during the winter or the summer months that are coming, and then before the preparation for the next crop they'll go through and work it up and prepare the bed again. On the left hand side there, I did ask this orchardist if they had gone through with a spray seed or something similar, because it looked too good to be true. There's this mat of what it was as a rye or what we call a barley kind of grass. It was all dead and all very uniform. I thought there had to have been some chemical inputs there somewhere, but there wasn't, he assured me. And here on the right hand side is a vetch cover crop established in the Netherlands. Gentleman from ERF Agriculture, or ERF Holdings in the Netherlands, which is the largest landholder in the Netherlands and also certified organic. Now they report they can get 70 kilograms per hectare of nitrogen out of a 30 centimetre high vetch cover crop, which is a fairly good start if you were to, say, follow on with corn or another cereal crop. So there was just one mono species of vetch, and they felt it was the best way to go. Sinking of compost inputs. The bobcat over there is hilling up some corn stalks ready to sink them together. The idea behind sinking of your compost inputs is so that you can ensure that when you put your compost heap together at a rough 25 to 1 carbon nitrogen ratio, that you can keep everything moving steadily together. Because as soon as you've got a big lump of wood or something that's not breaking down together, they become residual products in the end in your finished product. So you need to try and find a way to get all your products to mesh together. The best way, or the simplest way I got this explained to me was if your compost input, you can put a lighter under it and it can ignite, well, it'll be good for composting. So you've got your simple corn stalk or a tomato stalk or even a cob from a piece of corn. You put a lighter under it, it's going to take a long time to try and get it to burn. So you need to put it through a mulcher, or you need to sit it in a pile and wet it up so that it can start biodegrading and gets the system running before you want to go and put your manures and other products in to try and get your high grade composts. On the right hand side there was a very, very large composting operation in California, which was using, the largest input was human waste. It's utilised about 320,000 tonne of human waste every year. And so they had to be very spot on with how they dealt with their process, obviously for EPA reasons and whatnot. But the age-old way of drying it all out was very archaic. I asked him, what is that machine you've got out there, sir, to dry this stuff out? It's your age-old agricultural rotary hoe. We just took all the covers off it. So just flinging shit everywhere. So it was as archaic as you get and as simple as you can be. Infield weeding. I mean, from where I grew up and how we started in organic agriculture, it's a very manual process. You got people out there on hose trying to weed the orchard or weed your veggie crops, where what I saw overseas and what led to my purchases back in Australia was machines needed to take a good control of what you did in your fields. So here on the left hand side was in a field with Edwin Blosser. He is the principal between Midwest Biosystems and a large composting business. But here, there's 7 guys on the back of this tractor. They referred to the tractor in the field as Mad Cow, because when you got to the end, the sheer amount of weight on the back of the tractor, the front nose would just lift up when you got right to the end when you tried to turn. And the poor old guys, well, they were sitting right on the ground at the back of the tractor. But they were going along with 2 hydraulic motors, going in and out of the black bean plants after the original pass first thing in the morning with a 7-row knife. So in 8 hours, we'd already changed the new block in 8 hours, so about 7 hours we'd gone through with some labour on the back of this tractor, but we'd gone through, it costed around $106 a hectare, I worked out at the end of the day, if we were paying Aussie wage rates, not Mexican wage rates. This was a solar powered hand weeder, so this was just launched out into the field. People laid on beds underneath that plastic cover, because it does rain a lot in the Netherlands, so if you had to just work on the dry days, there would be not a lot of work days done. And this just ticked up and down the paddock at a K an hour, something like that. And they just do that all day. Very lightweight, low inputs, and it kept the workers dry and kept them ticking along. This young kid here back at Lake Boga Organic Grain, he was about 12 or 13, nothing more, nothing less, and he was ticking up and back. First day on the job, first day of school holidays, and he was weeding Grandpa's beans. He really didn't know where he was going. He was only just learning, but he enjoyed it, and the beans looked like they were living through the other end of it, so we were pretty proud of him too. My recommendations. I see mechanical processes in certified organic agriculture as a need and a must until we can, say, build up the soils to an incredible level. But adding organic matter into soils takes a long and arduous task, and we need to remember it'll take time. So we need to be looking at what ways we can use precision ag, what ways we can use different cultivation styles to be able to loosen the soil up and get good yields out of our crops. Spend good time trying to achieve a cover crop. One of the most famous sentences I got while I was away was, forget about your commercial crop. Sow your cover crop when it has to be sown, work in your cover crop when it needs to be worked in, and work your commercial crop around that. Because you're never going to get anywhere if you just focus on your commercial crop, because you're only going to degrade the soil and you'll be walking along in a bucket of water. And organise with industry to discuss all these farming practices. The only way we're all going to grow is to be able to bounce ideas off our neighbours or other colleagues within our industry. So we've got to be careful of that, and we've got to go out and organise organise with your industry to discuss what you need to do. Well, there we are at the end. My big thank you to my partner Anais. I couldn't have really done this Nuffield experience without her. So big thank you to her. AusVeg, obviously Horticulture Innovation Australia. And since returning in my little upstart business, I need to make a thank you to ANZ and John Deere. They've helped me out a lot in, obviously a small company without a credit rating is quite hard to kick off, but they've been there to support me and get me going. And the picture I've got over here is a block of old barley grass. So as it's been quite a wet winter / now spring, we've got to leave the cover on all the paddocks that we can, because if we try to work them up, all we're going to turn into is mud and slosh and crap. So I've done a trial here with a 0-till drill going through, and I've sown hairy vetch in underneath this barley grass and trying to see if I get a good germination out of it, hoping I do, and having obviously still a solid working base, see if that establishes itself during the summer, and if it does, it may become a good broccoli field next year. But if it doesn't, well, I just lost a little bit of seed, diesel, and looked a little bit more like an idiot out in the paddock, sowing a block of barley grass, and that'll go from there. But as wet as it is this year, I think it will work pretty well. A little bit of food for thought. Thank you very much.